All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you for your patience. I understand we are ready to proceed.
Yes, thank you, Judge. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, the judge is going to give you the law. He's going to read it to you. He's going to give a copy to you, so you're going to have it back there with you. I encourage you to read it. So let's get back to where we were, the law on citizen's arrest. Where we are is, a private person may not act on the unsupported statements of others alone. Okay? All right, so what that means is, once again, we're back to, did the offense happen in your immediate presence or in your immediate knowledge? How do you get immediate knowledge? Meaning, immediately it happens, synonymous, right? So that isn't rumor, gossip, hearsay that a crime has been committed or that some other person thinks this other person committed this crime. You can't base your citizen's arrest on that sort of stale information from unreliable sources. That's not what you can do. Okay? You can't base an arrest on gossip alone. Facebook does not alone give you probable cause to go arrest somebody. Rumors in the neighborhood do not give you probable cause alone to go and arrest somebody. That's not what immediate knowledge is. A private citizen's warrantless arrest must occur immediately after the perpetration of the offense, or in the case of felonies, during the escape. Okay, so what's that mean? Why is warrantless highlighted? Okay, because a citizen's arrest is a warrantless arrest. You don't have an arrest warrant that, a law enforcement officer has sworn out before a judge at all. This is a warrantless arrest. And so for the warrantless arrest, under citizen's arrest, the arrest must occur immediately after the crime was committed, or in the case of a felony, during the escape. That means the person's escaping, you're chasing them, and you have to arrest them right then and there. That's what that means. Now, remember, the defense got up here and said, well, of course, how would a law enforcement officer ever arrest anybody if the crime happened over here and then they arrest them later? Well, we all know that law enforcement officers go out and get arrest warrants. Okay? That's what they do. They go ahead and they know Linda has been committing shoplifting. Okay? They get called, they witness her, she runs out. Okay? They don't arrest her that day. So what does the officer do? He takes out an arrest warrant for her. That's how she gets arrested later on the arrest warrant for shoplifting, because she wasn't arrested by the law enforcement officer on that day when he saw her shoplifting. He takes out a warrant and arrests her later. So that answers that question that the defense brought up. All right, law on citizen's arrest. If the observer fails to make the arrest immediately after the commission of the offense, or during escape in the case of felonies, his power to do so is extinguished. Okay? So, when you're in the store and the woman's shoplifting and you go to do a citizen's arrest, you have to do it right then and there. She comes back in the store 4 days later, you can't arrest her. You can't do a citizen's arrest 4 days later. It has to, if you fail to make that arrest immediately after the commission of the offense, you have no power to do a citizen's arrest. In other words, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about citizen's arrest for emergency situations.
Judge, I object.
Emergency situations.
I object to this interpretation, which is a misstatement of the law.
We join in that objection.
It's noted that this is the argument that's being made. I've already addressed that.
Except that it says law on citizen's arrest, not the inference as the court was making clear to the state. Not their interpretation, but the law, it says.
Okay. This maybe semantics with the slide. I don't know, and I have not gone through the slide. The law of the case will be provided by the court. All right. This is argument. This is the state's argument concerning what should be the facts of the case and how to apply them to the law. The slide, to the extent that it indicates that this is the law on citizen's arrest, is again, as I understand, demonstrative. The court is going to provide that. Ms. Donikoski.
Thank you. It says, in other words, this is me sort of summarizing it for you. This is the state's argument. You all understand that, right? This is just the state's argument. And the state's argument is that citizen's arrest is for emergency situations when something's happening. They are right in front of you, and you want to go ahead and act as a citizen and arrest the person because you just saw the crime happen. That's what it's for. So what we have is, I'm sorry it says law and citizen's arrest. This is once again a summary slide done by the state. This is the state's argument to you that the crime is committed in your presence. Immediate knowledge is not the unsupported statements of others alone, that a private citizen's warrantless arrest must occur immediately after the offense, and if it's a felony and the offender is escaping or attempting to escape, you can chase them and then make your arrest. Okay? That's it in a nutshell, right there. All right. So, we're going to apply that law to the facts of this case, right? So, what crime are we talking about that they thought he had committed? Was it clear to you at all, based on their closing arguments, what they were talking about? All right. Well, it can't be October 25th, 2019, because Ahmaud was on the dock, and he didn't take anything. All right? So, what do we have? Well, we don't even have criminal trespass, because criminal trespass is when you enter on the property of someone else to do an unlawful act. All right? You decide. Did he enter onto 220 Satilla Drive on the dock to commit an unlawful act? Well, go ahead and look at the video. Didn't touch any of that stuff. Didn't steal any of that stuff out on the dock. Wandered around and looked around on the dock. All right? Let's talk about Larry English here. Larry English was not concerned about people there in the daytime. He didn't bother to even collect those daytime videos. Kelly Parr told you, yeah, there was a Sunday, I saw Ahmaud there in the doorway. You know? We don't know if it was December or January. Larry English couldn't have cared less. Might have been instances of other people there during the day, but he couldn't remember because he didn't care about people coming on the property during the day. What did he tell you? He told you he could remember his subcontractors were there, the kids came over there, and Mr. Billy. Don't know who Mr. Billy is. He would sometimes shut off the video cameras and not turn them on for days. Remember in his deposition, he said, yeah, I'd shut them off because they kept going off, because people were over there, and I'd forget about them and not turn them on. Okay, so he's concerned about his property, but he's concerned about liability because of those kids. He doesn't want one of those kids falling off his dock. Per Larry English, he's a contractor. And by the way, Larry English is the one who referred to it as a construction site. Remember, during his deposition, he called it the construction site. In his experience, it's very common as a general contractor to have people come in and out of the construction site. And what did he tell you? He told you this in his deposition. Nothing had ever been stolen from the construction site in all of 2019 and the first 2 months of 2020. Let's be really, really clear. This whole boat thing, that's a red herring. All right? Total red herring. Nothing had ever been stolen from the construction site. And you can see how much stuff is in there. You got lumber. You got all this stuff. Mr. Arbery never shows up with a bag, doesn't back a U-Haul up to it and start loading out that big saw or anything like that. What does he do? He wanders around inside for a few minutes and leaves. That's all he does. But during late October or the beginning of November 2019, we have no idea what the actual date is, Larry English climbs up a ladder and looks down into his boat that's parked there and goes, oh my gosh, my stuff's missing. Okay, he notices it sometime in the end of October, beginning of November. He can't even tell you what date that was. Okay, and he calls Rash. He goes, okay, Rash, what do I do? And he talks to Rash about this and says, well, I don't know when the stuff was stolen. I don't know who stole it. I think it was my subcontractors who stole it. They're the first suspects. But he also notes that the boat had been back and forth to Douglas where he lives during this time frame. So Larry English, when he's talking to Rash, now knows, I don't know when it was stolen, I don't know who stole it, I don't know where the boat was, and he decides to not even get the police involved. Because what does Rash say? If you want to report to the police, what do? Call the non-emergency number, and an investigator will come out and take a report from you. We'll interview you, figure out what everything is. But what are the suspects from Larry English's point of view? Well, it's his subcontractors. It's the looky-loos, the white couple with the bag. I mean, that's from the 911 call. He thinks they're the people. And then it might have been the 4 teenagers in Douglas. So it can't be sometime in October, November when Larry English noticed the items missing from the boat. okay? Because we don't even have enough for Larry English to call the police and even do an investigation into this, because he doesn't know where the boat was, much less what date the stuff was stolen off the boat was. We don't know what date this took place. So he never told Travis McMichael, never spoke to Greg McMichael, never talked to William Bryan about any of this boat thing, okay? Travis McMichael knew the boat thing from gossip, an unreliable source, stale information. Who told it to him? He told you, his mother. Greg McMichael knew about this from Officer Rash. And what did Rash tell you? Yeah, I went down and talked to Greg McMichael and told him that Larry English had the stuff stolen off his boat and that he suspects his contractors. They knew better. What was the intent? I mean, Officer Rash told you, my intent here was for Greg McMichael to be a good witness for the police. He's supposed to be a good witness. If he sees the guy over there again, he's supposed to call 911. And then he's supposed to go, hey, he went this way, he went that way. That's what he's supposed to do, be a good witness. Greg offers his contact information to Officer Rash to give it to Larry English, but Larry English never gets this text. He totally ignores it. Never makes contact with Greg McMichael, never authorizes Greg McMichael to act on his behalf at all. Now, Larry English, it's completely reasonable. I mean, look at this. This is what the actual owner of the property wants to have happen. This is what the owner wants. Find him, talk to him, and tell him not to come back. Okay? That's a totally reasonable response. Completely reasonable. Just, Officer Rash, just tell the young man to please stop coming on the property. Because what happens? My blink alarm thing goes off, and then I have to call the police, and then I have to call Diego Perez, and this is a real hassle. He never takes anything, never steals anything, but my camera's going off. Can you just tell him not to come back anymore? What did Officer Rash tell you? One of the last questions Officer Rash was asked on the stand. What did he say? Well, if Larry English had called the Glenn County Police Department to report the theft of items from his boat, what would have happened? An officer would have been assigned to investigate the case, meaning he would have interviewed Larry English. What would he have said to Larry English? Sir, what was taken? When was it taken? Well, Larry English wouldn't have been able to say when. And who took it? Well, it was my subcontractors, I think. But then there was this white couple, I think. And by the way, I think they're living under the bridge. And, I don't know. And then there's this young man who keeps coming in, but he never takes anything. So this idea that Ahmaud would be a suspect, he's a suspect along with a whole bunch of other people. Okay? So here's the problem. If you're a suspect and you're a suspect and you're a suspect, the police don't automatically go, I'm going to arrest him. I mean, that's not what they do. They actually investigate it, right? Like law enforcement officers. So the idea would be that an officer would go and look into it. That's exactly what Rash said on the stand. Do you remember this? He said, Ahmaud might be a suspect, but he would look into it. We don't even know when this stuff was stolen. Ahmaud would not have been automatically arrested just because Larry English made contact with the police. There would have been an investigation. That's what Rash told you. Rash, an actual law enforcement officer with a badge and a marked patrol car. So then we got the white couple with the bag. He calls the police on December 2nd. They're the suspected boat thieves now. Remember, even on December 1st, he's calling the police going, yeah, these are the thieves who stole the stuff off my boat. I want you to go and check them out. Now, here's what's really important. Larry English called the police and said, please go check out the white couple. They're homeless, living under the bridge. He did not go himself to confront the people under the bridge. I want you to compare and contrast this. Because what do we know about Greg McMichael and Travis McMichael at this point in time? July 13th, they went down and confronted the homeless man under the bridge with their guns. And then called the police to tell them about it, that he's a shady-looking guy. February 11th, Travis McMichael runs home, tells his dad, they get their guns, and they head back down to 220. He says, I'm calling parked in front of 220. All right? Where's Greg McMichael at that time? He's inside with his gun, about to run into Diego Perez, who's inside with his flashlight and his gun. Neither Diego Perez or Greg McMichael bothered to tell Officer Rash that they had both been inside already with their firearms on February 11th. Did they? Nope. And you'll note that the 911 operator stayed on the phone with Travis McMichael the entire time until Officer Rash arrived. That's important. Stayed on the phone the entire time so Travis could keep reporting what he was seeing. So now November 18th, 2019. They don't know anything about November 18th, 2019 until they're shown some videos on February 11th of 2020. So they don't even know about this. And it can't be December 17th, 2019 because nobody knew about that at all. Even Larry English, I don't know. I found these on my phone. I never paid attention to them. Police weren't called. Nothing happened. Okay, but what do we know? Okay, a couple of things. Let's look at this. I want you to watch this. What's Mr. Arbery doing? More importantly, what's Mr. Arbery not doing? Alright? Here's the thing. Alright. I'm gonna do this. I'm really scared, but I'm gonna do it. It's pitch black. Okay, it's pitch black. I'm in the house. I can't see. Okay, I know there's a table. I seriously do. There it is. Okay. Did you see Mr. Arbery do that? Did you see him do this? Did you see him run his shin into anything? Did you see him run into any of this furniture or this equipment? They keep claiming it's pitch black in there. Does he look like he's acting like it's pitch black? Okay? No. I don't know how he's seeing. I don't know if it's the street light. I don't know if it's the moonlight. I don't know if it's a combination of those things. But for him, he can see what's going on inside. Right here. Just skirted that lawnmower. Didn't run into it. Didn't bash his elbow on it. And here's what we know Mr. Arbery did on December 17th. After he went in there for a few minutes and looked around, didn't take anything, didn't damage anything. This is what he did. So, can't be February 11th, 2020. That's not the crime we're talking about that they're trying to do a citizen's arrest for. Because a private citizen's warrantless arrest must occur immediately after the offense. If you fail to immediately arrest, you can't arrest later. Okay? And what do we have here? Well, we know what we have here. We have a criminal trespass at the most, according to law enforcement officer Rash, who then said it was loitering and prowling. But first off, I want to address this. Empathy, once again. Where's the empathy from Travis McMichael? Travis McMichael's point of view is, I pulled up and I got out of the car and had a confrontation with this guy because I was about to say, what are you doing here? And then he put his hand near his pocket and then I jumped back in my car. Well, okay, let's think about this. Empathy. Do Ahmaud's actions afterwards, does it look like he thought he was just in a confrontation when he walked into the house? On February 11th? What did he do when he walked in the house on February 11th? Walked in, wandered around, looked around for a few minutes, and was gone by the time Diego Perez gets over there with his gun, right? So what do we got? Does it look like he just saw someone in a car out front and it was no big deal to him? I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking. I have no idea. You saw the video. What does it look like from the video? Is he in there hiding? Is he in there crouched down? Or is he just wandering around as usual inside? Remember, no one had ever told him to not be on that property. So, the thing is, what you're saying to me is you're going, but Linda, the defense got up here and said he's a burglar. He's a burglar, and he committed all these burglaries. Well, why are they saying that? Well, because they want it to be a burglary, so that's a felony, so that if he's escaping from that felony that he committed, that burglary, they can chase him down. But they didn't know he had done anything that particular day on February 23rd, 2020. What's burglary? When without authority and with the intent to commit a theft therein, that person enters or remains within the dwelling of another. Okay. Criminal trespass. When that person knowingly and without authority enters upon the land or premises of another for an unlawful purpose. Okay, so what do you got? Kind of really similar. One's a felony, one's a misdemeanor. Right? Criminal trespass, a misdemeanor. So what's really important right now is, what did the defendants know on February 11th, 2020? What did they know?
It's got a dumpster out by the driveway. There's some blacks right in there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
They, matter of fact, I don't come to think of it, I kept forgetting about them. They have some kids that age that hang around that house.
Yeah. Well, I've been there for an actual a report of an alleged assault or whatever, and it's the kids they have are only females. Now, I don't know if it's one of them's boyfriend. They only had daughters there, so it could be, unless somebody's moved in with them, whatever. But yeah, nobody seems to know who this kid is, where he's coming from. But like he's always, and all the times on the video that Mr. English has sent me, he sent me one now, it's always been just in there plundering around. He hasn't seen him actually take anything. I said, so, you know.
It's criminal trespassing.
Yeah, very least, so.
Well, I had a
Loitering and
pistol
prowling.
stolen. I had it reported. It's stolen on the first, right down the road.
Now, we did have, I took a report down the road here, the house on the corner, the guy where the Jeep and all is, he had some stuff stolen, some guns stolen, but we got on video the car, the people that come in and stole them, they were from another neighborhood.
Yeah.
How y'all doing?
What's up, man?
Hey, bud.
What did they know? In front of Travis McMichael, Greg McMichael specifically says to Officer Rash, this is criminal trespassing, a misdemeanor. Why is it criminal trespassing? He's never taken anything. He's never stolen anything. Nothing had ever been taken from the construction site. Officer Rash says it's loitering and prowling. So on February 11th, 2020 at 7:30 at night, Travis McMichael and Greg McMichael know there's absolutely no evidence that Mr. Arbery has committed any felony or theft from the construction site, from the owner himself, and from a police officer. This is what they know on February 11th. What was Officer Rash's plan? This is important. Officer Rash, Glenn County police officer, what was his plan when it came to Mr. Arbery? Was to get his identity information, inform him that this was private property, call Larry English in front of Ahmaud Arbery, put him on speakerphone, let the owner, Larry English, make the decision to either just ask Ahmaud not to come back or to have the police trespass him, meaning I'm giving you an official trespass warning. If you ever come back here again, you'll be arrested. This was Officer Rash's plan. Reasonable. This is what Larry English wanted. Just somebody tell him to not come back, please. That's all. That's all. Robert Rash took the stand. He said a couple more things that were very, very important in this case. How do you identify a burglar? He was asked by the defense this. What did he say? Caught taking something from the house. This is your Glenn County law enforcement officer Rash, who's on the case, who's been talking with Larry English constantly, knows all about this. What did he say to the defense? How do you identify a burglar? Because they get caught taking something from a house. Then he was asked, but wait a second, isn't burglary you enter with the intent to commit a felony or theft therein? What did he say? How would I know what his intent was? Right. How would Officer Rash know what Ahmaud Arbery's intent was? Right there. Said it right in the stand. But the defense, of course, says, well, there are things of value in there. Okay, but those things of value have been in there. They were in there all of 2019. They were in there October, November, December, January, and February. And they were never stolen or taken. Ever. By anyone, including Mr. Arbery. It's not a burglar. Okay? So how do you analyze this case? Well, was it a citizen's arrest? You decide. But if they were not conducting a lawful citizen's arrest, you do not have to consider, you still may if you want to, but you don't really have to consider self-defense, because if it's not a lawful citizen's arrest, then they were the first unjustified aggressors and they were committing felonies against Mr. Arbery, and therefore they don't get to claim self-defense. And you can go directly to the charges in the indictment. All right, so it's not a citizen's arrest. This is the state's argument. No crime, not a burglary, not criminal trespass committed in the defendant's presence. None whatsoever. The suggestion that the victim committed a burglary in 2019, you can't arrest him now because he's not escaping from those things. Think about this. How is someone escaping from October 25th out on a dock? How is someone escaping from February 11th, 2020 on February 23rd? Okay? That is irrational. Wanting to question the victim demonstrates their uncertainty on what he had done that day, and wanting to question the victim demonstrates a lack of immediate knowledge which is required for a lawful citizen's arrest. They didn't see him commit any crime that day. And the state's not saying he wasn't in 220, 220 Satilla Drive. We all know he went in there and wandered around and then came out and then ran off down the street. We all know that. They didn't know that.